Hi, I'm Dana Durnford from the nuclearproctologist.org, and I just want to do a little update for everybody. We done Browning's Passage, day 17, on the beaches, and I just put 210, I think it is, pictures at the nuclearproctologist.org. We found white sea anemones, thousands of them in a 300-foot stretch in Browning's Pass, which is one of the top 10 diving places for divers around the world. And that was really unusual because we didn't see any white sea anemones. The large ones, these were about 2 inches, 6 months old. And there was a lot of them. I got really good pictures for you. And what I got up on my site is screen captures of the pictures, because the pictures are such big files. And we're eventually going to get them. I think Climate Viewer is going to host a whole bunch of the raw files while we're on the ocean. So we'll get a hard drive and send it off to Radchick for sure, and crew over there. They got a really good setup. Let me see what else I want to inform you on. We got the motor. Oh yeah, we just installed it today. Just finished, and I ran over, and we're uploading pictures here. And so it took all day from the time to get the cash together at the bank, blah blah blah, get the motor. They had to start it up, make sure it was all working. It's a brand new kicker, and really happy, really happy. Electric start. And the bracket was $500, and that worked out to $32.50, which is basically what Elaine sent us when it converted over to Canadian exactly. $2 left over, I think it was, for it, and we got that extra nuts and bolts, and so that was really good. And tomorrow we'll go out and break that engine in with the guys around the beaches. We're going to move back up to the west coast here in a couple of days. I guess Thursday, and so we'll get another load out of here. We're going to go out quite a long ways tomorrow, and then we're moving up to Ucluelet, finish that for 5 days. Then we're going to come back up here again and catch the ferry to the north, 16 hours, and then another ferry over to the Charlottes. We're going to do the Charlottes, and that's going to take 3 or 4 weeks. And so the ferries only run once a week, or we got to drive all the way around 1,100, 1,200 miles, I guess, from here, 1,300 miles from here where we're to. We're in the top end, northeast side of Vancouver Island. And so we're really happy. I'm really happy with the way everything came together. It took a while to put this operation together. It's amazing we done what we done. We done it for... We done 9 days originally, then we put the operation together, and then we done 30 plus days traveling. So it's over 2 months. And we're not finding the same species, all the same species in the same spot. So we're finding a couple of species here and a few species there, but we're not finding the same species as back and forth. And out of the 600 algae, I guess 40 or thereabouts out of 600. And we're not finding 40 in some place. We're finding 40 altogether along the coastline around Vancouver, right around Vancouver Island. And this is, let me see how would I put it. It's only a handful of species in every area. And it's not going to be, you might get 1 or 2 extra ones somewhere, but you're not going to see that show up everywhere else. Telegraph Cove, I described that, and this place, Browning Pass. The kelp is really ugly. We got underwater, all kinds of underwater footage, pictures. We finally got that worked out. And down 10, 12, 14 feet with the cameras. We got a bunch of salmon. We got a rockfish. Now they're further up the food chain. And they're being affected, but they won't show up the same way. And what we specialize is tidal pools, because that's the nursery of the ocean. And we expect to find several thousand species. In a tidal pool area, we'd expect to find 600, 700, 800 species altogether, a diversity of creatures in the ocean. We still haven't seen any sea cucumbers, and there's usually more sea cucumbers than there is rocks in the ocean. That doesn't mean they're not down there. I'm just saying we're not seeing that on any of the underwater footage. We haven't got it uploaded yet. It's an amazing amount of work we're doing. We had 1,200 pictures yesterday, and we done the motors today, but we uploaded that tonight. And that was 210, I think it is, screen captures of very high quality pictures. And so some of the pictures where they're playing around with the settings, you see them enhanced, and some pictures where the colors are enhanced. And so you see these bright colors, but and you also see the microscopic, and it looks like life is just thriving in these pictures, and it's just really vibrant. They're really wonderful pictures, amazing pictures. And I forgot to thank Janet last night during Jeff Rince's radio show, because she contributed a couple of big times for us now that really got us to this point. And, you know, you can't underscore what Elaine has done for us enough. That kicker is certainly nothing compared to everything else she has done for us. And so that's highly appreciated. And everybody that's chipping in is paying for, you know, the expendables and everything else. We don't have a lot of people chipping in. And so we're always running on just a couple of people. And then we got the stuff that is chipping in. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for everything that's coming. We need a lot more before the trip is over. We got a long way to go. You still got another 8,000 kilometers of going to survey the entire coastline. And I mean, it's missing. And so, but the only reason we're doing it is for posterity. I don't expect to, we'll find pockets. We've seen emaciated seals, and a lot of them. And we're seeing, you know, on the shoreline is just a handful of algae, and then you have to dig around and hunt around just to find a couple of pieces of species, a couple of just even a few. Out in these wonderful, all the spots we're choosing are the most hardest to get access to. You know, right out in the rock piles, right out in the open. We really put ourselves hardcore for the time we get at the low tide lines. We're going at the low tide lines. It's very dangerous what we're doing. And so we're so grateful to have that kicker. And there's a lot of rocks I can't drop the guys on top of because they won't be there if I break down and don't come back. And so I can only drop them on rocks with trees on it. Otherwise, Coast Guard might not be able to find them quick enough. Now with the kicker, then it's easy to do that. But you got to realize the currents out here are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 knot currents. Tomorrow where we're going to, it's 17 knots. These are really scary currents to make a mistake in. But that is where the most oxygen in life is to. And so we're hitting the open west coast, going out to the rock piles, and anybody else would look at that rock pile and say, I'm not going in there. But that's what I've done for most of my life, is going to these rock piles and find a place to hide away. And we can get them on the beach. That's a little different than what I used to do. Jumping off the side of the boat, tucked away behind an island is one thing. Going in and trying to drop guys off on these islands with these big ground swells. If we didn't have a Kevlar bottom 24-foot Zodiac, that thing is 24 feet, and all the equipment we got, there's no way we could pull off what we're doing. It's impossible, and we don't stop. And every day on the ocean is not a game. Every day is a little scarier. And you got to have a lot of respect for that ocean. And like I tell the guys when things get a little flimsy, where they're thinking that everything is cool because we have everything, is you can't appreciate the ocean until you go to enough funerals of people who didn't appreciate the ocean. And it's not a game. I've rescued a lot of people off bottom of boats and off rock piles in all my years on the ocean. You can't get them all. And so we have done everything right to make sure we can go the rest of the way. It's a long trip ahead of us, and we have to get this data. Unfortunately, because we can't have a debate, we can't find anything out there that's lucid in the governments or the industry or in the media, and we have a big aggregate of it up on my site, up to 500 headlines, 600 headlines on each section, and yet you still can't seem to get people to understand the urgency of what we're talking about. What this is happening is we got to treat it like a meteorite coming at us, and if we did, we have a chance, and that's the right thing to do. You got to think about how every day there's 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies. Just imagine if tomorrow we put 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies up on how to deal with the corium, and they got open access to Elsevier, Springer, Wiley's, Ivory Towers, the publishers, you know, that we paid for that, and they get the copyright and hide it away. It's the biggest fraud imaginable, but we haven't got time for any of that anymore. We've got to deal with Fukushima. It's not stopping. Only the homeless are allowed in there. They won't let the academics from around the planet in there. And all the models on the planet are based upon single releases from Unit 1. And there's 3 melted continuing releases from the 3 melted reactors. In Unit 3, you can look it up. It's 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. And that one's missing. And all the coriums and the fuel pooler are missing. And this stuff is putting out neutrons and X-rays. The elements are. We've never seen that before. And that's why we see this annihilation of the Pacific. And it's most likely right around the Pacific Rim. How could it not be? When it takes 131 days to reach Canada and the United States by water, not mention jet streams, it only takes 3 days. But 131 days, behind that was 130 plumes. And it's still going to be a plume every day for the next 1,000 of years, minimum, because they don't know how to deal with it, because they're not trying. And 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies, that would be a sign of good fate. Because the other argument is chaos. And so I rather sign of good fate than the chaos that will follow if we don't try to do something logical. And that's reasonable. We can do that. We can produce 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies every day. And we do. We publish that many. That's not counting how many we don't publish. And look at the power we can weld with something like that if there was a meteorite coming at this planet. That's what we would do. Every other continent would do the same thing. And so we got to work towards that, because what's happening is not a game anymore. What's happening is 70 years of abuse by the nuclear industry, equating this stuff with bananas, potato chips, walking in sunshine, dental x-rays, chest x-rays, which are a complete and utter fabrication of the implications of this. Dr. Raymond Gilmedy, he fed plutonium-241 to puppy beagles and puppies for 35 years, and they all died of cancer 4 years later, the majority of them, and they sacrificed the rest. 85 peer-reviewed studies on what happens with these elements. They got nothing to do with bananas. That's potassium-40. And so it's time to move past that, move past the anger, and head towards solutions. And 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies published every day sure would be a sign of good fate in my book. Take care, folks. Best wishes. We'll talk to you soon. We're out there every day. We're working as hard as we can. We don't stop. We need your support. You got to support us, folks. We're not going to stop. I'll be out shaking my butt on the corner trying to make $1 to keep her going. You don't want me doing that crap, do you? Of course not. That's why we love you, and that's why I'm not worried about it. We're going to keep going like we are, and we're going to move up towards Tofino and Ucluelet in a few days. Simon's going home for a couple of days. We got the kicker. That is incredible. That's amazing. And now we got that freedom. We got that security. And so we got everything else. We're good to go. We get a windshield in the front of the boat later. Not much else besides that. We're in good shape, folks. And she's working like a charm, right? So we're going to get data every day. We might not get it up to you every day, but if I take those low-quality screen captures, that's at least context for you till we can get it up, right?